Hello, all of my history-loving friends. Welcome to the world of Madame Morbid. This is a history channel. I cover the weird, the wacky, the mysterious, the dark. Today's going to be more along the lines of the wacky. If you like what you see, please like the video, subscribe to my channel. I upload about once a week. I am at the final resting place of a woman who had a very interesting story. And oddly enough, her interesting story begins when she died in 1978. This is Mrs. Gladys Ruth Rogers. She died of the flu, or complications of the flu, on February 2nd, 1978. Now, her son evidently loved his mother very, very much. And since the beginning of time, really, people have wanted to know if there is a way to stop death or undo death. With the invention of electricity, this really became a popular topic. And around the time the novel Frankenstein was written, a lot of people were doing experiments with electricity and dead bodies to see if they could reanimate them. Now, Mrs. Rogers' case is not like that, but it doesn't involve electricity. But it is that same hope that maybe someone who has died can be brought back. Now, Gladys' son, his name was Daniel Aaron Rogers. Try Googling that. You're going to get a lot on Aaron Rodgers, the football player. Not the same person. Daniel Aaron Rogers described himself as an interdenominational tent preacher. And he truly believed that he could pray his mother back to life, just as Jesus had done with Lazarus. He felt so confident about this that he said he thought the ceremony would only take about 30 minutes, maybe an hour if it's a bad day. As soon as Gladys dies, and I don't know if she died in his home or if she died in a hospital, but he did get her body back to his home, which was a trailer in Deer City, Arkansas. I have often wondered about the logistics of this story. Just be who would help you move a body. I don't know. I've never seen a picture of Gladys. I don't know what she weighed. I don't know what size of person she was, how tall. And I don't know if they had kids. Was it just him, his wife Elizabeth? But I'm going to do a little scenario here. What if he had to call a friend and ask for help? How would that phone call have gone? Again, this probably didn't happen. They probably worked it out on their own. I don't know, but I can just imagine what that phone call might be like. Let's give it a try.
Hey Frank, it's Daniel. I live next door. How are you guys doing? Well, thanks for asking, but Mom died. Yeah. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Well, you know, I'm not that sad because I'm gonna bring her back. You know, Jesus did it with Lazarus. All he had to do was pray over her. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything for me to try, you know? But see, the thing is, I gotta do something with it real fast. Yeah, Elizabeth has, she's emptied our freezer. She, took out the fish sticks and the tater tots and the frozen pizzas and stuff, and, Mom's gonna have it all to herself. Yeah, I figured the ceremony would take about 30 minutes. I'm gonna check around here, you know, and see if any of the funeral homes will let me do my ceremony there. But, you know, right now, my friend, I gotta get Mom in this freezer. You think you could come over and help me move her? Why don't you bring over that strapping young lad of yours? I heard he's gonna go out for football next year. Yeah. Well, you know, that's kind of a question for later, but I don't think we'll need to thaw her out because, you know, if God's got the power to bring her back to life, I'm pretty sure he's got the power to warm her back up, you know? Wouldn't you think? But I mean, that's a question for another time. We can think about that later. Right now, I just got to get her on ice, man. I got to have her in good shape for when I bring her back. You know, she needs a good vessel. Thank you. I'll see you in just a bit. To be fair, I seriously doubt any phone call like that was made. But you never know, because we really don't know. If he did call anybody, it probably would have been a preacher friend, because there were 2 other reverends who took part in the ceremony with him. First speed bump, though, was the fact that none of the Harrison, Arkansas mortuaries would allow him to have his ceremony in their facility. So he had his mother in his trailer in some sort of, what I've read is initially he had her on dry ice. I'm not sure how that worked. Was she in a box? Was she laid out somewhere with it piled under? I don't know how that works, but somehow the Arkansas authorities found out that he had his mother in his home and that she was unembalmed. And of course, this caused them quite a bit of concern. And so only a few days after she died, he was approached by Arkansas authorities who said, hey, we've got to take your mom. We can't leave her here like this. So they took him and they took her to the hospital, and there they put her at under 32 degrees, very stable, below freezing temperatures. And she would stay here for a while her son tried to get the necessary permits to get her body back to do his ceremony. This legal battle would go on for several weeks, and it's the reason it got so much attention. If he had just been allowed to do his little ceremony right away without having to go to the courts and fight over her body, I don't think anyone would have thought anything. I don't think any paper would have picked it up then. Papers in every region of the United States were writing about this, maybe even internationally too. I'm not sure about that. But I was seeing a lot of paper articles starting around March 13th. By this time, Garland Clarkson, who owned this mortuary, had found out about this case and contacted Mr. Rogers about allowing him to use his facility. Okay, we are turning onto Old Highway 160, and we are 2 miles from the chapel. It's still there, and it is said that this road was lined with cars. I don't know if they made it this far back, all wanting to see if Gladys might come back to life. What if she did and you weren't there? So people came just in case. I was reading the
turn right. Then the destination is on your right.
oh my gosh, this is it. Oh wow.
The destination is on your right.
But all along here were just cars parked. Probably this direction as well. This right here is the original mortuary. Everything over here, this chapel, has been built on since then. I'm not sure when the mortuary went out of business, but it's been quite some time ago. The current owners have owned this for 40 years. So that would seem like it ran out of business within a couple of years of the ceremony. The roof was originally flat. The building has been repainted. So he's got Mr. Clarkson's blessing to use his mortuary. They finally get the permits they need to move Gladys across state lines. I have to assume she was in one of those chest freezers at the hospital, because that's how they moved her. Now I have a picture of them moving that freezer into the building. There are 3 men. It may have been this door right here. They've got the freezer propped at an angle with her son at the back and 2 men in the front. The other 2 preachers who are going to take part in this, moving the freezer in when it arrives. But there's also a door right here. And so I'm gonna have to look at that photo again to maybe compare these windows, see if there's a window over there. So they may have been moving the freezer in this door as well. As far as I can tell, this classroom right here is the room where in 1978 they were praying. It's so small. I really am shocked by how small this was. Only a couple of hundred people out of the 500 who gathered here for the ceremony actually were able to go inside the building, and I'm actually surprised they even got that many. Most people were relegated to out here. Her body, or technically the freezer, was blocked from view by a screen, and the only people who were around the freezer, and I guess they had it open because at one point one of the preachers said, "I see her eyes moving, thank the Lord." So they must have had it open so that the preachers could see her, but she would not have been visible to anybody who was a spectator. They could just hear the noises coming from in there outside the windows. They could hear them praying, they were singing, they were pleading with God to bring her back as he had done with Lazarus. He prays over her 3 separate times, one of which was on Easter Sunday. It just kind of worked out that way. And he made the comment that it must have been God's will for it to fall on that holy day. Wouldn't it be fabulous if my mother was resurrected on Easter? He had so much faith. He really thought he could do it, and he was so devastated when it didn't work. It breaks my heart. I mean, it's something we all want. We don't want to lose the people we love. We want to find a way to delay it as long as possible. We want to find a way to undo it, and it just, no one has ever found it. The novel Frankenstein was sort of a warning against trying this and the unnatural things that could happen if you succeed. You know, be careful what you wish for, and the hubris that can be in trying to undo destiny through either misuse of science. In this case, that wasn't the case here, but it just shows that that desire to stop death, to prevent death, to undo it, never goes away. Sadly, it just didn't happen. And by the very end of March, he finally said that after this last time, if it didn't work, he would allow them to bury his mother. The mortuary provided a casket, and they provided the plot for her to be buried. We are in Eisenhower Cemetery. Mrs. Rogers is literally in the very back corner. You see here, there's a fence. I mean, you can't go any further. I was very lucky to have found it pretty much right away. She is buried in an extra large coffin. The reason being, after all of that time in that freezer, she was stuck in a seated position. I don't think she was ever embalmed. I don't know that for sure. Given that she was in an odd position, I somehow doubt it. But I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. The one thing I can say for sure in this case, without a shadow of a doubt, is how much he must have loved his mother. And when it all failed, he is said to have wept and said, I guess God wanted her to be with Daddy, or my father. I can't remember the exact word he said. She didn't ask him to do this, but he believed he would have had her blessing, because he said, should she have been brought back to life, she would have wanted to continue to bring other people to Christ. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.